Hello and welcome to Basic Fishing Bites. Today I'm going to tell you how to set up an elasticated method feeder, one of the most deadly ways of catching big weights of carp on standard coarse match tackle. So, why an elasticated method feeder? Well, the reason this is so effective is it stops the fish from ejecting the bait once it's picked it up off the feeder. So if you look at a lot of the science behind big carp rigs, it's all about preventing slack line. And if you imagine, I'll just take this collar off here, I'll be able to show you. If you imagine when you've hooked a fish, this elastic is always keeping that hook in the fish's mouth. Whereas with a inline feeder, if it doesn't move the feeder that far, if the feeder bounces, it's got a bit of slack and it can sometimes work the hook out. Now there are some brilliant anglers who never use elasticated feeders, only ever use inline feeders and believe very strongly in them. So I'm not saying it's a massive difference, but in my opinion, these do catch you the odd more fish. And the other thing, you've got that extra shock absorption when you're playing the fish. So when it comes to the netting stage, it's less easy for the fish to rip the hook out of its mouth. So how do you set one up? Well, you'll see we've taken this little collar off to start with, and we're going to thread this onto the main line. We're next just going to tie a very simple overhand loop. Now you've seen me do a lot of these on here. So we're just going through once, twice, 3 times. We're going to add a little bit of moisture just to make sure we don't burn the line and pull it tight. And then we're just going to trim that tag end off there, leaving about 1/4 inch of tail. There we are, look. Okay. Next, you'll see we've taken that collar off there. So we're now going to use this loop and put it round that little metal pin there. Now we're just going to work it on there so that clicks on in that fashion and slide the collar back down. Now this will actually sit over there like that when the feeder's in place, or the bomb. Obviously you can put whatever you want on, and you'll see you've now got that elastic effect working. Hook lengths go on this little hook here, and you can then obviously just slide that up so that the link is covered by that plastic collar. Takes a little bit of force, but it does go. There we are. And that obviously then is secure. To add the feeder, all you do is remove this collar at the top end, get the feeder itself, and then take that loop off there like that. Let's pull that off again for you, just to show you. As I said, these are very well made by Tackle Group. Very snug fitting to avoid any accidents. You just have to work them off sometimes. The biggest thing to avoid is pulling too hard when you've not got a feeder through on this end, because sometimes then this will come back through the stem, which is problematic. We've not done that, but we can then fit the stem to the feeder. That slides through like that and locks in place at that end. As you can see, the loop goes on this metal hook here. Collar then slides back in place as I just showed, and there you have it, a elasticated method feeder setup. The hook, as I said, goes on this end, and that is all ready to go. You can change between a feeder and a bomb and a hybrid feeder or a method feeder very easily, all from the Guru range with these stems. And as I said, in situations where you're fishing for big carp, or maybe it's winter and you're only after a handful of bites, I think these do give an advantage, so give the elasticated feeder a try. If you've enjoyed this channel and found it useful, please give it a like, give us a subscribe if you would, hit that button. It'll just help us keep making content like this that hopefully you guys find useful.